guys, how's it going? CoderMan here. In today's video, we're going to take the GT4 for a drive, and it's snowing, so let's go have some fun. So right off, you'll notice that there's a tire pressure warning. Pressures are all good, and it's funny because when Tedward did my video, there was a tire pressure warning, but this is different because I'm on snow tires. The TPMS is either not adjusted or it's not correct, so I have to go to the dealership and see what's up with that, but totally runs and there's no issues. And the snowblower is broken, so I can't actually clear the driveway yet. So I'm basically going snowmobiling in my Porsche. Sorry, my Porsche. Okay, don't give it too much. So one thing I noticed right off in the colder weather with this car is that it doesn't want to go into gear right away. And it's funny because with the M3, it was kind of the same way. So obviously when the car is cold, it just has a little bit of trouble getting into gear. But, you know, you just got to be mindful of it. You can't quick shift when it's cold. Really, you shouldn't be anyways because your temps are super low. And I'm, of course, not going to rip on this because it's been sitting for about a week and needs to come up to temperature, even if it was the summer. You know, you want to make sure your oil temps and your engine temp is up before you start hammering on it. So while I'm waiting for the car to warm up here, I wanted to give some updated thoughts on my Bronco video. And first off, I want to say that you guys have been amazing with the sharing and the commenting and the liking and the disliking. And I feel like, you know, some of the things that I said, I wish I could reword because they were specific to my, to my spec, what I'm trying to order. And as it turns out, because of COVID and a whole bunch of other reasons, and as a result, Ford can't build the vehicle that I spec'd, or at least it can't build it right now. So I have the option to do a model year 2022, which I think I would get around December possibly. And I'm not really sure what I'll do at this point. I have to give my dealer, or really anybody has to give their dealer the information on what they want to do, I think by March. It is kind of weird that Ford ended up refunding my deposit, but it turns out the reason for that was because my dealership actually is under new ownership, and I guess as a result, probably for accounting, they end up giving you back your deposit. And then I got a notice from Ford, which I can show here, that basically says that my place in line and my reservation and everything is untouched. It's simply they just gave me back my $100, which I guess is kind of cool, but freaked me out when I first saw it, simply because I didn't know if I was going to be getting an allocation or not. So I found it funny, a lot of the feedback that I got was that I was wrong. And the reason I find that funny, and I will say when I first created the video, I was wrong because the way I titled it made it sound like this was a universal move for all allocations. So I retitled the video and I cleared up that it's specifically my model, my spec, my order or potential order. And people continue to say that I was wrong, which I kind of find interesting simply because I'm not wrong. The way that I want that vehicle spec'd is not possible in the 2021. All right, we're not up to temp yet, but let's give it a little fun. Yeah, I will say these snow tires are awesome. They're Michelin Alpines, or Alpines, I don't know how to pronounce it. They're 19-inch on some basic alloys, and it makes it so that I can drive this car in the winter. Albeit while I'm filming, I can't have the climate control on, so the cabin is quite cold, but it's worth it. This is a ton of fun. People probably think I'm insane having a bright red Porsche outside in the snow, and to them I say I probably am, but I bought the car and I want to drive it. I don't want to see it in the driveway or the garage. And I have to say, I'm starting to enjoy the auto blip when I'm not racing the car. it's convenient and it sounds nice. Thank you, plow driver. So now that the car is getting up to temp, what are my initial thoughts in this car in the winter? I mean, overall, I really enjoy it. So, there's no leather seats, so the seats aren't cold when you sit down. The steering wheel's not leather, so it's not cold. The interior is cold, like I mentioned, but that's just because I don't have the heat on. It never did. Handling-wise, with this tire and wheel setup, it's great. I feel confident. I slipped a little bit in my driveway and also in my, my street, but I think that's more attributed to, frozen cold tires and probably giving it a little bit too much gas. Would I recommend, driving a GT4 or 911 or something like that in the winter? I would. I would say drive it for fun. I wouldn't necessarily have it be your daily driver because, like I mentioned in my other video when I was preparing this to be driven in the snow, this car is awful low to the ground and it will bottom out pretty much everywhere on a good day. But with snow and ice dams, you could get stuck in a situation where you can't get into a driveway or you can't pull off a road, and you're essentially just become a snowplow. So some things that I would outfit this car with if I was going to be driving it in the winter often, or if it was somehow going to become my daily driver, is I would of course get this sensor fixed or get the sensor issue worked out, simply because you don't want to be in a situation where you're at work or at you're somewhere and you go to leave and you have a low tire and you just chalk it up to, oh, the system's broken, so whatever. I want to make sure that that's correct, and you don't want to be out in 20-degree weather checking tire pressures. So I'd fix that. I would also coat the whole car. So in this case, I did with the Optico Pro Plus, but I would probably expel some more areas of the car for removing snow, so there's no, obviously no scratches, and more importantly, for, rock chips and things like that in the winter. I know some people say that you should warm up your car, get it up to operating temperature before you drive it. And honestly, unless you're going to be hitting the track right away, you don't need to do that. Now, if you start, you go ahead and start the car, you don't want to immediately start hammering 8,000 RPMs, in this case 7,000 RPMs, but you can drive it. You don't have to sit there for 20 minutes while the car warms up. And I know some people say that you should, and I believe it's diesel trucks or diesel engines that you do because it's thicker. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an engineer. That's just how I believe I remember it, and I could be 100% wrong. If I am, then let me know in the comments because I'm curious. You also want to be mindful in the northeast climates, or really wherever it snows, they're going to be putting salt down on the roads, and salt can be corrosive to the undercarriage of your car, or really any component of your car. So you want to be mindful of that. You want to be washing your car often. If in my case, where I don't have somewhere I can wash my car and not cause a hazardous situation for my family, I'll probably end up just bringing it to craft detailing and have it, just get an exterior clean and basically just an undercarriage clean, make sure everything is good with that. And then come spring, which being that it's almost February, we're kind of close to in a way, at least I can hope we are, I will probably just do a full deep clean on it inside and out. And one final thing that I would get for this car if I was going to be driving it more in the snow, and I might anyways, even if I'm going to drive it for these next couple months, is I would get winter floor mats or all-season floor mats that are rubber, because these fabric ones are going to attract sand and salt. Oh, no Lambos outside today. They're all sleeping. That's the other thing with this car that I really like, is I guess I kind of get away with just driving it outside because it's not a super expensive car. I don't see as many exotic cars, and this is not, but I don't see a lot of exotic cars out on the road in the winter. There are some obvious exceptions. There are people that snowboard behind Lambos. I'm sure you've seen that video. And, people just enjoy their cars. But a lot of times, at least I find in my experience with friends and colleagues and acquaintances and such, is everybody just kind of puts their car away for the winter. And if you have a loan on the car, that sucks because you're paying for it and it's just sitting. And regardless, you're probably paying for insurance. So you're probably paying a couple $1,000s over the course of that winter season for your car to sit in a heated garage or even in a regular garage. And for me, I like driving, I like experiencing the cars. I'm also aware that if you constantly drive a car in the snow and you don't take proper care of it, you'll probably detract the value a little bit. But I've never really been one to care about what the value of a car is, because when I'm selling it, like, I'm gonna take care of it, I'm not gonna abuse it. You saw that with the M3. I feel like if I'm not enjoying the car, then I'm pretty much just preserving it for the next owner. And while I said I'll take care of it and make sure that it's good for the next owner, I'm not gonna go out of my way to not drive it so it's better for them. Stuck behind a truck and I don't give up. Nope, just kidding. Let's try again. 3 hours later. Move. You know, one thing I'll say about having the Porsche out on a day like today is that it's bright red, the snow is white, and I'm sure cops can see my car from 100 miles away. So probably got to be mindful of that, driving around, ripping on the exhaust. They're probably going to notice me. And for those curious, if you don't like the auto blip when you go to downshift, you can actually just shut it off by disabling sport mode. I honestly don't know what else sport mode does. I think it's just that. And the other thing that's really weird about this car is every time that you start it, unlike the M3, it never remembers the setting that it's in, with the exception of the suspension. So if the exhaust was open when it was stock, or sport mode was on, when you turn the car back on, it essentially just goes back to normal. You know, so going back to that Bronco video real quick, I mean, overall, I'm happy with the launch. I feel like they could have done some things a lot different. I feel like the biggest thing is they could have communicated, you know, what their interests were in terms of the options, right? So when I spec'd it out in, you know, back in July, COVID was already a thing. They already kind of had an idea of the supply chain issues, or at least I think they would. So maybe don't offer so many different options. And then as you get closer to the release, I know they already pushed it back once, maybe send out some literature to people that reserved that specific model. You know, the data is all there, it's inside your system. Send out an email that says, hey, your spec's really not available right now, and here's some alternatives, or you can push it off to 2022. But to get a call from a dealership, and it's no fault of theirs, they're just going on the information from Ford, you know, to get a call from them that basically says your car's not available, you know, your Bronco's not going to be built, and you can wait or you can cancel, is not really a great user, you know, not really a great customer experience. And as somebody who does marketing and, you know, does things where I involve customers and I interface with businesses with customers, that initial communication and those continuous communications are crucial to the success of that business. Now, granted, me not buying a Bronco is not going to affect Ford. I know that, okay? I'm not some, you know, internet YouTuber that's going to be able to take down the company. I don't even think an internet YouTuber could. I really don't, right? Ford is, of course, bigger than that. However, something is a completely separate example of cars. The Peloton interactive group, or the ones obviously that create the Peloton bike and treadmill, they're in a bit of a PR nightmare right now, where they're not, you know, they're not meeting demand. So they're essentially, people are buying these bikes and they're not getting them for 3 to 4 months. But meanwhile, they're still accepting orders, right? So you can go on the site right now and order a bike, and it's going to tell you 8 to 10 week delivery. But the reality is it's going to be more like 12 to 16 weeks. And they don't communicate that until about, I've noticed in one of the groups that I'm in, kind of following it, people have said that, you know, it can be as quick as 24 hours before a scheduled delivery. They'll message you and say it's not available, and it's going to be 2 to 3 months from now. Which, I'm sorry, but as a, you know, as a business owner, or as even just a human, that is simply unacceptable. You can't have someone taking time off of work for a delivery, and the night before calling them and say, oh, by the way, it's not going to be there in a scheduled time and date. Oh, and also it's not going to be there for 3 months. I also didn't make the video, as much as people seem to think in the comments, I didn't make it to be controversial. I made it because I have people that follow me and have been following me with the Bronco purchase, you know, trying to get one. And I figured, you know what, I'm going to provide an update. So I did just that. I did not for a second think that that video would get more than 100 views. It's not the core of my channel. You know, the core of my channel is really BMWs, and then of course this car. And I feel like it hit something, maybe because of the tags, maybe because of the timing. I don't really know. I'm happy about it. I'm happy for the engagement and subsequently the subscribers that have come from it. But at the same time, like, I wasn't trying to create a controversial video. So people saying that I was, you know, I just kind of wanted to clear that up. Not because I feel like I have an obligation. It's more or less, I don't want people to think I make content just to be controversial. I never have, and quite honestly, I never will. I don't do clickbait, you know, I don't do spammy titles and you know, thumbnails. I create content that helps you learn, entertains you, or tells you about something you may not know about, which I guess kind of goes back to help you learn. Hopefully you enjoyed that little snow drive and the quick update on the Bronco. As always, I appreciate you guys checking out this video. If you have any comments on the Bronco or this car or anything else, leave a comment below. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're new here, and I'll talk to you in the next video.